There he is. This is the hermit crab, also known as Melody, in my hermit crab video 6 years ago. I give all my pets hugs, you know, except the fish. It's just like a, you know, a wave kind of thing. Hello YouTube, welcome to my updated hermit crab video. So basically this is gonna be everything from a little update on my current hermit crab situation, as well as just some tips for hermit crab care, as well as questions and issues answered from my last hermit crab video. So my last hermit crab video was filmed on January 11th, 2014. We've got over 145,000 views on this and a lot of comments. So we'll kind of just go over everything today, and yeah, hopefully it'll be helpful for some people. In my last video, which was 6 years ago, I had 3 hermit crabs named Arlo, Junior, and Piggy. I'm not sure if I had addressed in the video or not that the hermit crab that I called Melody is actually now Piggy. So Melody was the name I kind of chose for him a long time ago when I first got him. I love music, so I wanted to do like the musical name. I did also have the name Piggy for this particular hermit crab because when I first got him, and I got him from Petco, and he was literally the last hermit crab in the box. I went to Petco because I wanted to get a hermit crab, and they said they had none, but I said, could you just like check under the little hut you have in there? And they said, well, like we'll check, and there was a shell, a bright pink painted shell with googly eyes on it. And I was like, is there, you know, a hermit crab in there? And we picked up the shell, and there was a hermit crab in there, and Petco had stopped feeding it and caring for it, even though Petco does not treat their hermit crabs very well at all. I have yet to see a proper enclosure for a hermit crab store kind of thing. So when I got him, I brought him home, and he sat in the food bowl for about 3 days, not moving, just eating, because he was so hungry. And he was really shy at first, but now he's all hand trained, and you know, he sees me and just goes crazy. If you hear some scratching sounds, that's him down here. I have him in a little enclosure because I would like to show him to you in just a little bit. He's just kind of hanging out. He loves to try to escape from things. Anyway, the hermit crab from that video named Melody, I now just call Piggy. I did find out that Piggy is a male hermit crab, and that's not something that, you know, the store tells you. It's something that you kind of have to figure out, and I will go into more in depth later about how you figure out if your hermit crab is a male or female. So we'll give you a little bit of information about Piggy, my current hermit crab. Now he is my only hermit crab right now. I do not have Arlo or Junior anymore, and I will explain why in just a second. Let me grab Piggy here. He's just in a little enclosure. Pick him up. Ooh. All right, let's bring him up for you. I don't want to drop him. Here he is. Here's the man of the hour. Oh dear. He just wants to crawl everywhere. I don't know if you can see this, but he's literally just crawling. He has very sharp nails, so it helps him to grab onto things like fabric, but I'm still very careful because, you know, they're just very delicate species. There he is. This is the hermit crab, also known as Melody, in my hermit crab video 6 years ago. You see him, he's doing well. He's just living his life, getting a little older, but not too old yet. They can live over 40 years. He's just gonna outlive everybody. Okay, I'm gonna put him back down here. Will you please for a second just cooperate, please? Thank you. Okay, just hang out there. He's probably mad because I took out some of the things in his tank to show you in this video. So he's probably mad about that. So a little bit of info about how I keep Piggy right now. He's still in a 5.5 gallon tank, which was still the same size tank that I had in my last hermit crab video, but I did have 3 hermit crabs in that tank, so keep that in mind. He is definitely a lot bigger than he he was before. If you have a hermit crab as big as Piggy, I would not recommend having multiple hermit crabs in a 5.5 gallon tank. In fact, I am planning on upgrading his tank very soon because of his size. This is another thing. Piggy is what I like to call kind of like the alpha male type of hermit crab. So the other two hermit crabs I had, they were not, you know, molting or anything like that, but he gets very aggressive and steals their shell even if he can barely fit in it. So he'll steal their shell, leave the other hermit crab with no shell. Once they get like dirt or any sort of substrate onto their body that's supposed to be inside of the shell, it's very hard for them to safely get back into another shell, especially if there's not one readily available. So basically what happened to poor Arlo and poor Junior is Piggy basically ripped them out of their shell and was very mean to them and caused them to die. So it's very sad, obviously. He doesn't get any other hermit crab friends for the rest of his life. That's that. In my last video, I was using Substrate like I am now, but now I buy a lot more. So you can buy Substrate. You know, some people use sand or rocks in their hermit crab tank, and like rocks, please don't do it. And if you want to use sand, like have like dirt like Substrate. It's technically like coconut fiber, and I don't have like an use one right now because I just cleaned his tank. I usually do about, 6 inches of substrate at least so that he can dig and bury himself and molt properly and all of that stuff. In my last hermit crab video, I think I had maybe like 1 inch, 2 inches of substrate. And especially now that he's bigger, he really needs a lot of substrate to climb in or climb under, I guess. And he loves to play in it. If he is feeling aggressive one day or he wants to have like a little party in his tank, he will dig under the substrate and turn his water bowl over or his food bowl over and just cause chaos because he knows that I'm just gonna clean it up, That's what I do. He just makes messes and I clean it up. But isn't that what all pets do? We've gone over why I only have Piggy right now and why he will be the only hermit crab I'll ever have. I do have other pets. He loves them. In fact, his tank, which is a glass tank, is right next to our betta fish tank. And we have a betta fish in there, and the betta fish has a rabbit snail as well. So they will look at each other through the glass, and it's super cute. And even my hamster will look at him and he'll come over. I keep Piggy in the tank during that time. And just FYI, his 5-gallon tank is a glass tank. The plastic ones, I don't know, I stopped using those a long time ago. This is the lid that I use for his 5-gallon tank. And so another thing too, if you want to keep your tank very humid and you have basically this is just letting out the humidity. So sometimes what I will do if it is not getting humid enough is I will just put a towel on top. I will just like lay it on top, and I don't cover the sides of the tank because he loves to look out and, he goes to wherever I am basically when he's in his tank, but I will put this on the very top just to keep the humidity in. Now that I've shown you Piggy's top of his tank, I'm gonna go put him back in his tank knowing that he will not escape because he has lots of climbing things and he will escape and just, he loves to explore and climb, and I don't blame him for that. That's what he was made to do. But, you gotta be safe because if he escapes, like, he can go literally anywhere. All right, I'll be right back. All right, we put you back in your tank. Okay, I'll be right back, baby. I am back. He is back in his tank safely. Not all hermit crabs probably have foods that they all like. They're picky, just like humans. But he does have some favorite foods that he likes. So, and this is just, just about Piggy, but these are all foods that hermit crabs can't eat. Going into their food right now, if you didn't notice my abrupt topic change. All right, so basically some days, let's say I am being lazy or I just want to kind of mix some random food in. This is the food I give him. Variety diet, one of those things. Basically put this in his food bowl, which, let me show you his food bowl. I'm using this little thing right now. It's kind of I don't know. I was using a flatter surface earlier, but he would tend to flip that over really easy when I don't think he meant to. So this at least keeps the food in, and it's just plastic, but I probably will find a different one. I recently got this, so I don't know. So I'll give him this. He does not like the little kind of round pellets. He only likes the like shredded kind of powdery food. I don't know, like he won't eat the other stuff. When I do this, sometimes I will put in some Cuttlebone into it, and I don't usually put Cuttlebone into other foods I give him, like fresh foods, which I'll go into in a second. Cuttlebones kind of look like this. I just literally have them in a bag. They're actually for birds, so you will find them in the bird section. And basically Cuttlebone is just like a really good source of protein, and it's gonna help his exoskeleton be more vibrant and, you know, just better in general. So there they are, and I usually just like get a knife and I shred them and make them into a powder, and then put them in this powder and they'll eat it. His favorite food, and this is probably for all hermit crabs, it's been for like all the ones I've had, is chicken. So you get, you know, just chicken that is cooked with literally no seasoning, like nothing, and I basically shred it into little pieces and I give that to him in his food bowl, and he loves it. Like, it's his favorite thing. He just loves chicken, and it's super cute to watch him eat. Spinach leaves are also good for him. I try to mix that in, definitely. He really likes grapes. I will usually cut maybe like one grape into a couple slices, just like, you know, and he actually, this is the one food besides chicken that he will bring into his hut, and kind of, he just loves it. He loves grapes. Coconut flakes are also really good. You can get those in like little packs. Even the pet stores have them sometimes even in the hermit crab section, but yeah, they're just coconut flakes. If you get them from like a grocery store or something, make sure they're like plain and don't have stuff in them. He also likes apples, and not like particular the skin, but if you put apples in his food bowl, you can put it in the skin. Make sure you have some like the softer areas. Strawberries are also something he really likes. And last but not least that I'm going to mention is he loves peanut butter. He goes crazy for peanut butter. He will just sit in his food bowl and eat it. I change the food every day. And so when I change the food, not only do I take out like the thing that has the food, but I also make sure that if he moved any into the substrate, that I pick that up. You can just get a spoon and scoop it out with the spoon, scoop out like the food. Because some of the things, especially like the shredded chicken, that will get moldy if you don't take it out the next day. And you have to look and make sure like your hermit crab didn't like drag it somewhere, or especially in their hut. One last thing about the food that I will mention, let's say you're going somewhere for the weekend, right? And you want to make sure your hermit crab is fed well. I love these. I get them from the pet store, and Piggy really likes them, and they're good for 4 days. And you just put it in like where the food bowl is or wherever, and they'll eat it slowly. And yeah, he really likes it. But definitely if you're going on vacation for more than that, have somebody who's regularly checking on your hermit crab. I know that sounds silly, but hermit crabs need attention too, especially if they're Piggy, because he is crazy. So on to more of like tips and stuff I want to cover into this video. One thing to always have in the tank, and besides the other stuff, which I will go into later, one thing to have in the tank is going to be larger shells. So larger shells in the sense that, like, you know, if your hermit crab was bigger, they would fit into that shell. And keep in mind the different type of shell your hermit crab is currently using. So sometimes they like more of the round shell, sometimes they're more of like the pointy shell at the end. So they really have kind of, you know, the size preference of what they fit into. A big thing as well is to not get painted shells. So you'll see, you know, cute painted shells like bright pink and gold, and you know, I've seen shells that have like sports teams on them, and you'll usually find these at the pet store. These are not good to continue to give your hermit crab. When you get your hermit crab, which like when I got Piggy, he was the only one there, and I had to take him home and rescue him. He was in a bright pink shell, which is a painted shell. So I actually don't have it with me, but I think I kept it just because it's like interesting. So to get these hermit crabs into these painted shells, right, in order to send them to the pet store, they harm the hermit crab to get them into that shell. So sometimes they will take a hermit crab from you know, the wild, they will literally break the shell that they're wearing and put them into a painted shell. That's awful. So obviously, like when you're at the pet store and you see them in the painted shell, I mean, they're there, and yes, like maybe you don't want to support pet stores that have hermit crabs in the painted shells, but then sometimes maybe there's just one left and you have to take it home and save it. When you bring this crab home, you're gonna want to offer them some shells that are not painted, so natural shells, right? It's really important that you have good options for them. If they're wearing these painted shells, the paint on them is usually toxic and the paint can come off and maybe the hermit crab eats it, your hermit crab's dead. So that's what I did with Piggy, and he changed and, you know, just living his life, right? So definitely even in my last video, many people commented about Piggy's shell, and, you know, he definitely has changed. I've never supported, you know, painted shells, but sometimes you have to save a life. Another important thing to have in the tank is going to be climbing materials. Most pet stores that I have been to, they will have a, like, they call it like a coral climbing stick or something. I don't know, but it has like holes in it and stuff like that. You know, it's cool, it's interesting, but it's painted, okay? And your hermit crab will probably, you know, scratch off this paint over time and eat it, and then your hermit crab's dead. At the pet store, don't buy those, and I look for natural, like, wood climbing material. So you will probably have to go into the reptile section. Like, trust me, for Piggy, I've gone into, like, you know, the reptile section. I have gone into, like, the hamster section to get huts. When you want to get climbing things for your hermit crab, I go to the reptile section, find a good stick. They can climb onto a stick. They don't need something with holes in it. I mean, if you find one of those like coral climbing sticks that are just literally natural colored, which I don't know what that is, but if you find that, great. But I'm talking like pieces of tree kind of thing that reptiles use. Like, you don't give a reptile a, you know, blue glow-in-the-dark climbing stick. Like, right? So why would you give your hermit crab one? Reptile section has lots of cool climbing things, as well as some cool huts. If you have a hermit crab that fits into one of those huts, you can get a hut from like the fish section. You know, they have those like hiding areas. If you use like a cardboard thing, or like you make something out of like paper, it's just a disaster waiting to happen. So let's not live with that, okay? But just to show you, because I like brought all this stuff here, might as well show you some of the stuff I have. So, oh my goodness. So this is a hut. It is for a hamster, okay? So then you want to keep in mind when you get huts that, like, I guess it's hard to see if I like did this, right? You have to make sure your hermit crab can fit in there, right? If your hermit crab shell is too big for the little hut, not gonna work. But I feel like most hermit crabs I've seen don't like live to be big enough that need it. This is the size that Piggy would prefer. Now, so you can tell the two differences that literally these are for hamsters. Like, my hamster would fit into this size. I actually have a separate one of these that I got for my hamster when I first got him, but now he's moved into a much bigger mansion kind of thing. Here's another fact about hermit crabs. Hermit crabs do not have lungs, they have gills. And just because they have gills does not mean they can, you know, swim and breathe in water. These type of gills are kind of like a combo lung gill thing, and they basically breathe off of the humidity of the air. So you want to keep your tank humid at all times. Nice thing about getting the coconut like substrate, it's basically dirt, okay? And you get it from the pet store. Don't like go to your backyard and like dig up some dirt, okay? That's not acceptable. But you go and you get this block of dirt and you put a bunch of water in it, it gets bigger, and so that's like moist, and so you put that in the tank. Like I said, even if you have like a small crab, like you need to have a ton of like space below so they can climb or dig. I guess I like to dig and like burrow and all of that stuff, so you want to have that completely accessible to them. You're obviously going to want to have your water, and I brought like, this is basically Piggy's water bowl. He has two of these, and it's the same ones I was using in my other video. They're pretty deep, but like he can get in there. He likes to drink the water or bathe in the water. He likes it. You want to have two types of water. You want to have drinking, like fresh water and you want to have salt water. Okay, you have to have both. There's just no exception. So I get these things. I get like the conditioner. So this one is the salt water and this one is, oh my goodness, the fresh water. The brand is Zoomed. I'll show you what one looks like. They basically both look the same, but one's blue and this one is yellow for the salt water. Yeah, and basically you put a certain amount of water into like a container. I actually use these containers and I have one labeled salt, one labeled fresh, and I basically have a line, I think it's about 8 ounces, and you put in 8 ounces and then you put in a certain amount of the conditioners in each one, and then you can put them in the tank. So I change these literally every day because he gets Substrate in them, and you know, I want him to have water, or sometimes they'll evaporate really fast depending on if the tank is really humid that day, you know, I don't know. But yeah, so that's kind of the thing with that. Another way to keep it humid, and I do this a couple times a day, is I'll actually just spray in, I literally wrote spray water on it, but you literally you just spray the tank, inside the tank. Don't like spray directly on your hermit crab. They usually don't like that. But you know, just kind of the area where the hermit crab is not, and they will appreciate you for it. If you would like to make sure that your hermit crab is, you know, in the right temperature and humidity range, get one of these guys. This actually velcros onto his tank, and it just tells you the like humidity and the temperature of the hermit crab tank, so you know, it's good. But yeah, that's another thing that's really important to have. They have to have a pretty warm habitat. I'm talking like 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. It's like 70 to 80% humidity. So your hermit crab needs to breathe. Just because your hermit crab needs to have a, you know, humid environment doesn't mean that you cannot take them out or, you know, give them a little hug. You know, I give all my pets hugs, you know, except the fish. It's just like a, you know, a wave kind of thing. So when you're first kind of, let's say, training your hermit crab to be on your hand, they're probably going to be pretty afraid. So hermit crabs don't really see like shapes, right? They see, you know, shadows. And so when they see a shadow, they think, oh my gosh, like this bird or I don't know, whatever eats hermit crabs is about to like eat them. I'm sure the hands that they've encountered in their lifetime were like mean to them, especially if they came in a painted shell. So you're gonna want to be very gentle and careful. Piggy, he was my most like timid hermit crab I ever had, and now he's literally like the friendliest dude in the world. He's super social. If like you consider a hermit crab social, like this is the man. If you're scared, you can get a glove that is, you know, knitted or something like that. So if the hermit crab is super scared and they pinch, they're gonna pinch the glove and not your hand. You obviously, you know, want the hermit crab to be able to grab on and, you know, all that stuff. But if they pinch, you're not gonna feel it. Make sure you're holding your hermit crab, not, you know, with a large drop below, you know, maybe do it right above the tank, do it right above the table that they're on or something like that, because if they do fall or if you get really freaked out or whatever, if you're freaked out of hermit crabs, don't get one. You start like, you know, holding the hermit crab, you pick them up by like the back of their shell, you put them on your hand and you just like wait, you talk to them and be nice to them. Don't like touch them weirdly, just like let them be on your hand and like have a chat. Let's talk about your hermit crab is molting. Molting is basically when your hermit crab sheds the hard skeleton that they have, you know, on their claws and stuff. They shed that and their soft skin is all like just there, but it hardens. Stressful moment, you know, for the hermit crab. It's not really, you know, super fun, I would say, for them. So when they molt, they usually will dig down and they'll bury down, and you might not see them for a month, 2 months, but they're still there. You know, if your cage is smelling really like kind of like a dead fish smell, that's probably an indication that maybe your hermit crab has passed. But definitely don't just give up on your hermit crab because they have dug down into their soil or their substrate. If they pop up, especially like after they molted, they probably want to like get some water and get some food and maybe change into a new shell that you have in the tank. So like I said, always have a bigger shell in the tank, but like just like a little bit, just so that they can do that. Going on to gender, this is the big thing that people want to know because they're like, oh, how do you know? 2 options, right? Male or female. And when you look at the hermit crab, sometimes they will climb. And my hermit crab, he likes to climb also like on the lid of his tank and just upside down. Like he'll sleep there, he'll just hang out there. You know, it's very interesting. So if you want to, you can have, you know, sticks and stuff that go all the way up that your hermit crab can get to the lid because they love that. Sometimes when they're upside down, or if, you know, they're climbing on something and you have like a really good view of like their lower abdomen and kind of where it would go in the shell. Females will have 2 dots, and I've seen this before in past hermit crabs. They will have 2 dots. Males do not have anything at all, and Piggy has nothing, so he's a dude. So, you know, but definitely if you get a hermit crab, don't like pick it up and like, you know, move it into ways. It will hate you forever basically. But just wait till it's like climbing around and you can see if you can spot those 2 dots. And if you do have like a male and a female hermit crab in the same tank, very, very, very unlikely that they're gonna mate. For some reason, they just don't usually mate in captivity. I think maybe the conditions are different than maybe like, you know, a tropical beach. So here's a Q&A kind of things. I was reading comments from my last video about, you know, things that were more common in the comments of questions or things that maybe I need to address. The most common thing is about the painted shell, okay? If you don't know, he came in that shell. He was the only hermit crab at Petco, and I wanted a hermit crab and I got him. And I basically saved him because Petco didn't realize that there was 1 hermit crab left in the hermit crab area, and they had stopped feeding, watering, and kind of taking care of them, even though Petco does not take care of the hermit crabs very well. He was not in a painted shell, you know, shortly after that video was filmed. I did get him recently to when that video was filmed, and I did have other shells in the tank. I do not support painted shells, but, you know, sometimes you have to, you know, when a hermit crab is in need, you know. So the painted shell issue, he's not in a painted shell. I actually, with Piggy, and I should have mentioned this in the beginning, I have to go to shell shops, like at like the beach, like at like the beach wharfs to get shells for Piggy, because he does not fit in, you know, the shells that you buy at the store or, you know, what online or whatever. If you for some reason like know a place where I could get hermit crab shells that like look like the one he has, but, you know, is a little bigger, you know, not painted, not natural, they have to exist, okay? Like, he's getting big and he needs a bigger shell. You know, I'll put one in that I think he'll like, and then he'll just basically ignore it and like bury it because he doesn't care. He's very, I know when he doesn't like something, I know when he's upset. That's why he had a painted shell. In the video, explained it. Moving on, people have asked about like, what's a daily routine for you for like hermit crab care? And I'm not talking about like, you know, massive cleanings, you know, every few weeks or whatever. I'm talking about daily. So here's my daily routine. If you remove the water, dishes, and food, wash them out. You know, you can dry them, that's fine. Definitely dry like the food dish if you're putting like dry food in it as well. You could deeply clean them each week with the, like, this stuff. You can. If you really, really, really want to like deep clean everything, you boil it. That's gonna be the best one. Definitely, if you get your hermit crab a new shell before you put it in the cage, definitely boil it. Something that's really good is you can move around the substrate. Like, don't bother your hermit crab like wherever they are, just like, you know, you can move some of the substrate around. Definitely like give it a spray. You know, if the, you know, humidity is dry, a spray will help out. And let's see, yeah, and then I put in the water, put in the food, and then you just like leave your hermit crab alone. They'll probably go like explore the food, drink some of the water, and then just cause havoc until the next day. So that's basically the daily routine of, you know, hermit crab care. But definitely once you get to a point where Piggy and I are, you know, you can pick him up, you can hang out with him. Sometimes I'll be like at my desk doing work and I'll set up a little area for him. So he likes that. He likes to be social and hang out and explore. All right, so one thing that people asked was name training. I did say in that video that I had my hermit crabs name trained. I have Piggy name trained. If I call him, he will come out. It's like once you call them their name, so-and-so, like I talk to them, we chat, it's fine. So that's definitely something like different, interesting, but like you can practice that with your hermit crab. One of the things too, someone did ask like, why is my hermit crab sleeping during the day? Well, they're nocturnal, so they're usually really awake at night. And Piggy used to be like very active mainly at night, but at this point he's pretty much active like when I'm active, and when I'm not there I actually have a camera for him that I can like see his tank when I'm not here. And yeah, and so I noticed that if I'm not there, oh, the camera just moved. If I'm not there, that he was less active. I don't know. He likes just like hanging out when I'm around, which is like really nice. He loves me. What can I say? He's mama. All right, so that's it. When we get through this, I showed you the hermit crab of the day and of probably my next 40 years. Yeah, I just took a moment to think about that. 40 years. He's gonna outlive everybody I know. So hopefully that was helpful, and you know, not super organized video, but you know, hopefully it helped somebody with just like some more information about hermit crabs, kind of updated on like how I take care of my hermit crab and like, you know, what I've kind of changed, and hopefully I was able to address some of the stuff in my last video. I will do a shameless, you know, business advertisement here for my business. Obviously, I did put out today this lovely little heart, glass heart lariat necklace. It is an AB glass heart, so it has like that shine to it, you know, and you can wear it under your shirt, and you know, you'll probably usually just see the star, or not the star, you'll usually just see the heart. But let's say you want to wear it over your shirt, or you have like a shirt that has a long like dip. It does have one of my floating orbs on it, and you can choose what color you want. The glass heart, I have just this kind of color, so it kind of is literally just gonna match with whatever orb color you want, and you can find that on my shop, which I will link down below. It's an Etsy shop, just yeah, emilyellen.co. So if you're interested, you can check it out. It is nickel free, and if you want to do any custom for it, like make the chain a different like chain size, I have different chains you can choose from. Or if you want a drop that is not a 6-inch drop, but you can let me know what size of necklace, what necklace length you want, which will just be like till about here. But then the drop's always 6 inches, and it's just nice because you can put it like in your shirt and it'll keep kind of everything together. So just, you know, a shameless, you know, advertisement for my own business here. But yeah, they're really nice. Anyway, I hope you're all doing really well, and that you take care of your hermit crabs properly so that they live 40 years. If you have any more questions, leave them down below. Go enjoy your life, and I'll see you in the next video. I keep saying that. You will see me in the next video. Okay, bye.